Welcome to Beauty Beyond. The chairs have a seat. You're safe here.
It's beauty, it's true, it's life we share. It's more than the surface, it's beyond the chill. Be you, be bold, don't shrink, don't fear. Your voice, your story, it matters here. It's beauty, it's true, it's life we share. It's more than the surface, it's beyond the chill. Be you, be bold, don't shrink, don't fear. Your voice, your story, it matters here.
Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to Beauty Beyond the Chairs. Oh my gosh, this feels so good. This feels really, really good. First, let me just say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for pressing play. Thank you for making space for me again. And thank you for allowing me to return, not just as a host, but as a woman who is still healing, still learning, still growing, still becoming. Whew, this season is different. And I mean that with all my heart. This season feels softer, it feels deeper, it feels more intentional, it feels more personal, it feels intimate. And honestly, it feels necessary. Because I didn't want to come back the same way. I didn't want to come back just creating noise. I didn't want to come back just saying something to be saying something. I wanted to come back with truth, with healing, with honesty, with conversations that sit with you, that hug you, conversations that make you think, that make you breathe deeper, conversations that maybe make you cry a little, but leave you lighter than you were before you press play. That's what I want this season of Beauty Beyond the Chairs to be. Not just a podcast, not just content, but a safe place, a place where we can be honest, a place where faith and healing can meet, a place where pain is not hidden, a place where purpose is not performative, a place where we can be soft and strong at the same time. Because we can. Yeah, we can do that. A place where we can tell the truth about what life has done to us and still tell the truth about what God is doing in us. And for the first episode of 2026, I wanted to begin with something real. I wanted to start with the mind. I wanted to start with release. I wanted to start with purpose. And I wanted to start with honesty. So today we're talking about the renewing of the mind, separating from people, things, patterns that no longer serve a purpose in our life, walking in purpose and trusting the process. And I'm also opening it up just a little bit more personally with the ways of lupus and how it affects me physically, but can also tear at you mentally. This conversation is personal for me, but I know it won't just bless me because I know somebody listening is carrying something heavy. I know somebody listening is trying to smile and stay strong, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you've been tired. We've all been there. I know somebody listening has been asking God for peace while fighting their own thoughts. I know somebody listening has known for a while, that something or someone no longer serves a purpose in your life, but you've been struggling to let it go. I know somebody listening has been trying to trust the process while secretly asking God, how much longer? So today, we're going to breathe. We're going to talk. We're going to heal. We're going to tell the truth, heart to heart, woman to woman, soul to soul. Take a breath with me. Now let's get to it. The renewing of the mind. When I think about renewing the mind, I think about how easily people make it sound. Like, renewing your mind is just waking up one day saying a few positive things and suddenly everything changes. Like, it's just think happy, be positive, shift your mindset, don't dwell on it. And while I understand the heart behind those words, real renewing is deeper than that. Renewing your mind is work. It is deep work. It is holy work. It is intentional work. It is uncomfortable work. Because renewing your mind means confronting the thoughts that have been living in there for years. It means challenging belief you picked up in a painful season. It means realizing that some of the things you accepted as truth were really just survival language. And survival, I mean, it will teach you some things, okay? It will teach you how to stay in fight mode. It will teach you how to expect disappointment. It will teach you how to overthink. It will teach you how to overwork. It will teach you to overgive. It will teach you to stay guarded. It will teach you to believe that being needed is the same as being loved. It will teach you to carry things God never told you to hold. And after a while, survival starts sounding normal. So normal that peace feels foreign. Rest feels lazy. Stillness feels suspicious. Healthy feels unfamiliar. Like, what? And letting go feels dangerous. But the Bible says in Romans 12:2, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that scripture is so powerful because it reminds us that transformation does not start outside of us first. It starts in the mind. Before your life shifts, your mind has to. Before your habits shift, your mind has to. Before your boundaries become healthy, your mind has to. Before your peace becomes consistent, your mind has to. Because the mind is where so many battles live. And if I'm honest, some of my hardest battles have not always been external. Some of them have been internal. The thoughts, the replaying, the overthinking, the pressure, the fear, the emotional weight, the stories I told myself in a moment when life was hard. Thoughts like, what if I never get better? What if it never gets better? What if I'm too much? What if I'm not enough? What if I let go and regret it? What if I slow down and everything falls apart? What if people leave when I stop being everything for them? Think about it. And maybe I'm not the only one. Maybe some of y'all listening know exactly what I mean. Because sometimes your greatest warfare is not even happening around you. It's what's happening in your head. And renewing your mind means learning not to agree with every thought that enters it. Whew. Honey, that right there, just because you thought it doesn't make it true. Just because it's familiar doesn't make it healthy. Just because it's loud does not mean that it is right. And that's a lesson I've really had to learn. I've had to learn that everything speaking inside of me is not God. Everything familiar is not truth. Everything I carried for years is not meant to go with me into my next season. Sometimes renewing your mind looks like asking, where did this belief come from? Who taught me this? Was this planted by truth or by trauma? Is this wisdom or is this fear? Is this discernment or is this woundedness? Because some of us have been calling fear wisdom. Some of us have been calling anxiety discernment. And some of us have been calling over-functioning strength. Some of us have even been calling emotional exhaustion normal. And God is like, no, I want more for your mind than that. Renewing my mind has meant grieving old versions of me. The version of me that felt like she had to carry everybody. The version of me that felt guilty for resting. The version of me that felt like boundaries made me mean. The version of me that smiled through pain because she didn't want to burden anybody. The version of me that overextended herself trying to keep peace. The version of me that kept showing up half empty and calling it strength. I honor that woman because she survived. But she cannot lead me where I'm going. Because where I'm going requires peace. Where I'm going requires discernment. Where I'm going requires emotional honesty. And where I'm going requires freedom in my mind. Where I'm going requires me to stop arguing with thoughts that are trying to keep me stuck. And some of you are in the same place right now. You know God is doing something new in me. And I love it. You know, you can feel the shift. You know you're outgrowing certain things. Come on now. You know when you outgrowing it. You know you can't keep thinking the same and expecting a different life. So I want to tell you something gently, but clearly. You are allowed to think differently now. You are allowed to stop rehearsing old pain. You are allowed to stop feeding fear. You are allowed to stop entertaining confusion. You're allowed to stop identifying with thoughts that are no longer true. You are allowed to live from a healed place. You are allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to believe better for yourself. Because truth says, I am still worthy. I am still chosen. I am still valuable. I am still becoming. I am still covered. And I'm still here. And God is still working on me. Now let's go a little deeper, okay? Because with renewing your mind often comes another hard thing, and that's separation. Child, separation is not easy. It is not for the weak. And it's especially hard when you are a loving person, a loyal person, a forgiving person, a nurturing person, a person who sees the good in people, a person who gives chances, a person who tries to hold things together. Baby, I'm tired of being glue. Because when you're the kind of person, you don't just let go easily. Did you hear me? You try to understand, you try to help, you try to see both sides, you try to hold on to the little things and hold on just a little bit longer. You try to make it make sense. Come on, make it make sense. Are you making sense out of nonsense? Please. But one of the biggest lessons I've been learning in this, everything connected to you is not assigned to you forever. And that can be a hard thing to accept, because sometimes we confuse history with purpose. We confuse familiarity with alignment. We confuse access with assignment. We confuse longevity with God. But just because something has been in your life for a long time does not mean it still belongs there. Some relationships are seasonal. Some environments are seasonal. Some habits are seasonal. Some versions of yourself are seasonal. And when the season changes, what used to fit may start to feel heavy. What used to make sense may start creating confusion. And what used to feel comfortable may start costing you your peace. What used to serve you may now be slowing you down. And I think of one of the most freeing truths we can accept is this. Some things are not evil. They're not. They're just expired. That helped me. Some things are not evil. They are just expired. That friendship may not be evil. That mindset may not be evil. That connection may not be evil. That pattern may not be evil. But if it no longer nourishes your peace, if it no longer aligns with your healing, if it no longer supports your purpose, if it no longer reflects where God is taking you, then it may be expired. And maturity is recognizing expiration. Because some of us have stayed too long in places that stopped being fruitful. We stayed because we didn't want to hurt people. We stayed because we feared being alone. We stayed because we hoped it would change. We stayed because we had history. We stayed because we were loyal. We stayed because we didn't know how to choose ourselves without guilt. But staying too long in what no longer serves you will eventually cost you your peace. And I've had to learn that in real ways. I've had to learn that not everything deserves to have continued access to me. Not every conversation deserves my energy. And not every relationship deserves my emotional labor. Not every person deserves front row seats to my becoming. Everybody cannot come into the next version of your life. They just can't. Sorry, it's not happening. Everybody cannot go where God is taking you. Some people only knew the version of you that had no boundaries. Some people only liked the version of you that overgave. Some people only felt comfortable with the version of you that was always available, always sacrificing, always shrinking. But when healing starts, access changes. And that doesn't make you wrong. That doesn't make you wrong. No, that makes you aware. Letting go does not always mean anger. It does not always mean a dramatic exit. It does not always mean hate. It does not always mean bitterness. Sometimes letting go looks like quiet obedience. It looks like peace. It looks like distance. It looks like maturity. It looks like choosing not to keep explaining yourself. It looks like choosing not to keep bleeding in places that never knew how to handle your heart. And I want to say this because somebody needs to hear it. You are not mean for protecting your peace. You are not wrong for needing space. You are not bitter for changing. You are not selfish for honoring your healing. You are not disloyal for releasing what no longer serves you purpose. You are growing, and growth requires room. Room for peace, room for clarity, room for healing, room for obedience, room for purpose. And some of y'all already know what needs to go. You don't need no helping hand with that. You already know what to throw out the window. You know what to cut off from yourself. You probably feel it every day. It's time. You already know the relationship. You already know the emotional tie. You already know the habit. You already know the place. You already know the thought pattern. You already know the cycle. You already know what drains you when you leave it. You already know what makes your spirit feel heavy. You already know what confuses you every time you reconnect. And you already know what God has been whispering to you about. And I just want to lovingly tell you, stop calling your bondage loyalty. Stop calling confusion love. Stop calling emotional depletion purpose. Stop calling fear discernment. And stop calling prolonged pain obedience, because God is not asking you to destroy yourself to prove you love people. Real obedience will not cost you your sanity every time. Real alignment will not keep you in constant confusion. Real peace will not require you to keep betraying yourself. And if this is your season of separation, let it be holy. Let it be peaceful. Let it be mature. Let it be clear. Let it be honest. I tell some of my associates all the time, like, move with grace. You ain't got to move on angrily. You ain't got to make a scene. You ain't got to do none of that. You can peacefully bow out. They may not understand, and that's okay. But no matter what they say, no matter how they make you feel, move with grace. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to expose them. You don't have to become hard. You don't have to explain it to death. You can simply say, this is no longer serving me. It's no longer serving who I am becoming. And I have to honor that. I've had to do that in this season. I've had to quietly bow out. I had to stop responding to text messages. I had to stop answering the phone calls. I had to stop showing up for the people who would never show up for me. I had to stop. But I did it peacefully. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't slander their name. I said nothing. I kept my silence, and I'm still keeping my silence even to this day, and I'm trusting God. Because He knows how to deal with that better than me. I tell you to do the same. Now I want to go somewhere even more personal. I want to speak on lupus. And I want to speak it from the heart. Because one thing I've learned is that illness does not just affect the body. It affects the mind. It affects the emotions. It affects your confidence. It affects your capacity. It affects how you see yourself some days. It affects the way you move through life. And lupus, yes, it affects you physically, but mentally, it can tear at you. It can wear at you. It can challenge you in quiet ways people don't always see. And I think that's the part that often gets overlooked. People may understand the diagnosis. They may understand the name. They may even understand pieces of the physical part. But they don't always understand the invisible weight, the fatigue, the unpredictability, the frustration, the grief, the emotional exhaustion, the pressure of wanting to do more than your body may allow sometimes. The mental battle of looking okay, but not always feeling okay. I get that often. Girl, you don't look like you sick. Glory to God. I'm grateful. That part is real though. There are days when it's not just your body that feels tired, it's your mind. There are days when you're trying to stay encouraged, but deep down you are frustrated. There are days when you're trying to stay strong, but emotionally you're tired of carrying what people can't see. There are days when it's just not about the pain. It's about the mental heaviness that comes with always having to adjust, always having to push through, always having to navigate a body that may not want to cooperate the way that you want it to. And that can mess with you. It can make you feel discouraged, isolated, misunderstood. It can make you grieve old versions of yourself. It can make you question your strength. It can make you feel guilty for resting. It can make you feel like you have to explain yourself all of the time. And I just wanted to say that out loud. Because I don't want this season, this new season, to only be polished. I want it to be honest. I want to make room for the truth that yes, I have faith. Yes, I trust God. Yes, I know purpose is in my life. But I also know what it means to have hard days. I also know what it means to fight mentally. I also know what it means to be physically affected and emotionally tired. And I also want you to know that I know what it means to stay lifted while carrying something so heavy. There's something freeing about telling the truth. Because somebody listening may not have lupus, but you have your invisible battle. And maybe people don't really get it. Maybe they see your face, your smile, your post, your work, your strength, but they don't see the mental toll. They don't see the recalculating. They don't see the fatigue. They don't see the tears. They don't see the fear. They don't see what it takes to keep showing up some days. And if that is you, I need you to hear me. You are not weak because this affects you. You are not less anointed because it is hard. You are not lazy because you need rest. You are not falling apart because you have a moment. You are not behind because your journey looks different. You are not broken because your body needs care and your mind needs grace. You hear me? I hope you hear me loud and clear. You are not failing because this is hard. Sometimes we judge ourselves so harshly for being human. We compare ourselves to people who are not carrying what we carry. We compare ourselves to older versions of ourselves before the diagnosis, before the pain, before the pressure, before the emotional toll. And that comparison is unfair. I hate to tell you, it's unfair. I had to realize that it is unfair because this version of you deserves compassion too. This version of you deserves softness too. This version of you deserves rest too. And this version of you deserves grace too. And I think one of the things lupus has forced me to learn is grace. Grace when your body says slow down. Grace when your energy shifts. Grace when your mind feels tired. Grace when I cannot do everything I want to do. And when I need space and when I need help and when I need to honor what I'm feeling inside of instead of pretending. Because sometimes strength does not look like pushing hard. Sometimes strength looks like listening. It looks like pausing. It looks like admitting today is hard. Strength looks like resting without shame. Strength looks like saying, I need God to meet me here. And I do. I need God in the physical. I need God in the emotional. I need God in the mental. I need God in the unseen parts, because lupus may be part of my story, but it's not the totality of who I am. It affects me. Yes, it does. But it does not define my purpose. It challenges me. Yes, it does. But it does not cancel my calling. It touches my body. Yes, it does. But it does not own my life. And I just feel that strongly. My hard days are real, but so is my purpose. My diagnosis is real, but so is God. My fatigue is real, but so is grace. My emotions are real, but so is healing. That's why I took the break, guys. Lupus can make you wonder, make you question. It can also slow you down. But I want that to be an encouragement to somebody listening. What you are going through may be real, but is not more real than God's ability to sustain you. Take a breather on that one, because you need it. Give yourself some grace. Now let's talk about purpose, because purpose sounds beautiful. It preaches well, it posts well, it captions well, but living in purpose, that's different. Because purpose comes with process, and process is where a lot of us get stretched, baby. Stretch Armstrong. Because process is where things start to be removed. Process is where things start to be exposed. Process is where God starts pruning. Process is where comfort gets disrupted and the identity gets refined. Process is where trust gets tested. And trusting the process is hard when the process hurts. Let's just be real. Come on. It is hard to trust the process when it requires release, when things feel uncertain, and when you feel isolated. And it's hard to trust the process when your body is tired, your heart is tender, and your mind is asking 1,001 questions. But I am learning that process is not punishment. Sometimes it feels like it, but it is not. Sometimes process is preparation. It's pruning. It's protection. It's purification. It's God removing what cannot go where you are headed. And I think one of the biggest lies we believe is that purpose requires perfection. It does not. Hang that up, erase it, Control, Alt, Delete out of your system. You do not have to be perfect to walk in purpose. You do not have to be fully healed to walk in purpose. You do not have to be every thing that people say that you should have to be. And you don't have to have every answer to walk in purpose. And you don't have to feel strong every day to walk in purpose. Sometimes purpose looks like taking the next fateful step while still healing. Trust me, I know. Sometimes purpose looks like obedience while you're still tender. Sometimes purpose looks like trusting God while you're still tired. Sometimes purpose looks like resting when your body says rest. I know, right? Crazy word. Sometimes purpose looks like continuing anyway, not because it's easy, but because you know God is still with you. And that's where I am. I'm in a season where I'm learning that purpose is not about performance. It's about alignment. It's about being in step with God. It's about listening. It's about obeying. It's about releasing what He says release. It's about trusting what He is doing, even when I don't fully understand it. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding, and in all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. And that scripture is comforting because there are seasons where understanding is limited. There are seasons where you don't know why things have to fall apart the way that they did, why people shifted, why doors closed, why does body change, why does healing take its time, why God is leading you in a way that feels unfamiliar. But trust says, did you hear me? But trust says, even if I don't understand it, I know God sees further than I do. And that's what I'm holding on to. That God sees the whole picture, that God knows what this season is producing, that God knows why I had to release, that God knows why I had to slow down, that God knows why this process looks the way it does. And maybe you need to remind yourself too. Maybe you're in a season where the process feels slow, where the process feels lonely, where it feels unclear, where it feels costly, but do not let the comfort, or let me say, do not let the discomfort of the process make you doubt the reality of your purpose. Just because it is hard does not mean it is wrong. Just because it is slow does not mean it is empty. Just because it hurts does not mean God is absent. Just because it's unfamiliar does not mean it is not holy. God can still be working in the silence. God can still be preparing you in the waiting. God can still be healing you while using you. God can still be building you while you're tired. God can still be sustaining you while you're becoming. And that gives me hope, because I may not have every detail figured out, but I know this much. If God kept me, then the purpose still lives in me. If God sustained me, the purpose still lives in me. If God carried me through seasons that should have broken me, the purpose still lives in me. And the same truth goes for you. I want to pause here. And I want to make space for reflection. So wherever you are, driving, cleaning, sitting in your room, at work, talking, on the phone, while listening, taking a walk, just breathe. Come on, just breathe with me. Now ask yourself, what am I still holding on to that no longer serves a purpose in my life? Is it a person? A thought? A habit? A fear? A pattern? A place you keep revisiting emotionally? A version of yourself that God is asking you to release? Come on, keep breathing. Now ask yourself this too. What would healing look like if I stopped fighting the release? What would peace look like if I stopped giving access to what drained me? What would renewal look like if I finally believed I deserved rest? Got two more. What would my purpose feel like if I trusted God more than fear? And here's my last one. Boy, Come on. What would change if my mind stopped partnering with lies? I want you to sit with that, because honesty is powerful. And sometimes the breakthrough begins when you stop pretending. Trust me, I know. To the ones listening, the one who is carrying more than they say, the one who still shows up while hurting, the one who looks strong but has been quietly fighting, the one who has been the smile through exhaustion, the one who is dealing with things people don't fully understand, the one who is trying to trust God while also tending to their own heart, body, and mind. This part is for you. You are still here, and that matters. You are still breathing, and that matters. You are still trying, and that matters. You are still becoming, and that matters. Please do not let this season convince you that your worth has decreased because life got heavy. Please do not let pain talk you out of purpose. Please do not let your diagnosis, your discouragement, your fatigue, your heartbreak, or your process define your identity. You are more than what hurt you. You are more than what drained you. You are more than the battle you're in. You are more than the weight you've been carrying. You are more than the hard days. You are still worthy of joy, care. You're worthy of softness. You're worthy of healthy love. You're worthy of peace. You're worthy of purpose. You're worthy of becoming. And maybe your next level does not begin with doing more, and that's fine. Maybe it begins with releasing more, and that's great. Releasing fear, releasing guilt, releasing pressure, releasing access, releasing overthinking, releasing people pleasing, releasing the old story, releasing the need to suffer in order to prove your strength. You do not have to bleed to prove your value. Let me say that again. You do not have to bleed to prove your value. God is renewing you. God is refining you. God is restoring you. God is teaching you. God is carrying you. And even now, you are still becoming someone beautiful. Thank you for sitting with me today. Thank you for making room for me to return in truth. This episode means a lot to me because it really sets the tone for this new season. We're not just scratching the surface anymore. We're going deeper. We're making room for healing. We're making room for real conversations. We're making room for what? Faith, purpose, pain, growth, becoming, womanhood, manhood, youthfulness. This is Beauty Beyond the Chairs. And this season, we are choosing renewal. We're choosing to release. We are choosing to be honest. We're choosing peace. We're choosing purpose. We are choosing ourselves. We are trusting God with the process. Remember this. You can be healing and still have purpose. You can be tired and still be chosen. You can be honest about what hurts and still be hopeful. You can let go of what no longer serves you without losing you in the process. You are still becoming. And that becoming is beautiful. Until next episode, I'll see you guys. Be beautifully fearless. You know it. Be you, fully fearless. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy. Love you, or whatever. Later. Blessings. Peace. Abundance.